The big game may be on Saturday, but there's also silverware up for grabs on Friday. My name's Mark. Let's talk rugby. Challenge Cup final. As I said, there's silverware up for grabs, and if you look at how the Sharks celebrated last year after their win, it can really mean a lot to a club, especially if they haven't lifted a trophy in a few years. You know, Bath, they're in for a chance of maybe to win the Premiership. Obviously first in the Premiership at the minute, but no guarantees they're going to win that. This is a chance for them to get their hands on, a European trophy. Same for Lyon as well. No way they're going to win the top 14. So this is their last chance for a bit of glory this year. So expect both teams to be going, a full tilt in this game. So first of all, what we're going to do is talk about how the teams have gotten to this stage. Then we'll talk about, the history in this competition as well. And finally, then we'll make a prediction for the game. So let me pull up the official site here so we can give you all the details of the game itself. Right, so this is Bath Rugby versus Lyon Olympique Univeritaire. And it is on Friday, 23rd of May. It's 8 o'clock kickoff. That's UK time or Irish time. And it's in the Principality Stadium in Cardiff. And then if you want to catch it, it's on Premier Sports, France TV, beIN Sports, Flow Rugby, and Super Rugby. So, Super Sport. So plenty of places to catch it. If you do want to watch the game, should be a decent game of rugby, and there isn't that much other rugby on this weekend. So I don't know why, if you like your rugby, you wouldn't give it a watch. So let's talk about how the teams got here. We'll start with Bath because they are designated the home side for this. So Bath dropped down from the Champions Cup this year. So in their pool, they started off with a narrow home defeat, 20 points to 24 against La Rochelle. Then they went away, much changed side to Treviso to play Benetton, and they lost that one 22-21. So chances of progression from there slim. Then back at home, the only win of the pool stages for them, played Clermont, and they beat them 40 points to 21. So decent performance there. Also decent performance in the first half against Leinster in their final pool game, but they finally succumbed 47-21 in that for a loss in Dublin. Then they dropped down to this competition. In the round of 16, they played Pau and they beat them 48 points to 24, and that was away. So that was a decent win there. Then home game, all English affair as well, playing against Gloucester, who've been doing pretty well in this tournament, but Bath just blew them away 61 points to 26. And then in their semi-final then, they went away to Edinburgh and they beat them 39 points to 24. So some good form from them, especially in the knockouts there, from the pool stages of the Champions Cup. You could see they weren't quite up to that level, but at this level, certainly shining through. And Lyon then, how did they get to this point? So let's have a look at their pool performance first, and I will talk about them in the knockout stages. So hang on, let me pull up all of their games here because I think maybe one of them is missing. Just give me a second there. There we go. Okay, so in the pool stages, started at home, 37 points to 26 against Cardiff. Then they go away to Zebre to beat them 21 points to 19. Then against Connacht, get a bit of a thrashing over in the Dexcom in Galway, 52 points to 24. And then they finally wrap things up with a 68 points to 21 win against the Cheetahs. So that was 3 wins and 1 loss for them in the pool stages, which gave them pretty decent seeding into knockout stages. Then round of 16, they play last year's defending champions Hollywood Bet Sharks, who dropped down from the Champions Cup, and they beat them 34 points to 21. Into the quarterfinals then, to go away to Ospreys. Great chance for Ospreys to make a final that was going to be in Wales, or at least, get into the semi-final and potentially make a final, but they couldn't do it. Lyon come out narrow winners, 20 points to 18. And then in the semi-final then, they beat Racing 92, 29 points to 15. And Racing in their quarterfinal, they'd overcome Connacht, with 14 men, but couldn't reach the same heights in this one as well. So a bit of, kind of rock, paper, scissors really going on there. Connacht beat Lyon, Racing beat Connacht, and then Lyon beat Racing. And then that's where we are for this particular final. So that's how both teams got here. So both teams, in the knockout stages, showing decent form. Lyon had to come through, that tough game away to Ospreys, but they look comfortable in their other knockout games. And then Bath looking comfortable all the way through, honestly. So, it's going to be interesting to see how these teams go against each other. Lyon, not a well-known name outside of France. They're not a big name in the Champions Cup or anything like that. And, not too many of their players are all that well-known either. So, it's, you think about their team, and it really is all about the team. You've got like the likes of people you may have heard of before, unless you're a Lyon supporter, likes of Ninyashvili there at fullback. You got like Ethan Dumortier on the left wing, who again a few years ago he broke into the French team, looked like he was going to be the real deal, but then it was unfortunate the fact that he came on the scene just before Louis Bielbiarri, who's just been absolutely sensational. And since then, Dumortier has been pretty much forgotten about in terms of the national team, but he is a really good young player. Then you have Rattez on the other wing as well. You got Baptiste Couillard, at 9, again, one of those 9s where he was in and around, I think he's certainly in squads for Six Nations and stuff, but, you've got Dupont there, then Luku came along, Legaric as well. So, really good 9, but a little bit down the pecking order there. And then, into their pack, then you have the likes of Arnaud Bota in the back row. You've got Guilherme Marchand in the front row. So like again, a few decent players, but I think overall just a good team. You got Maracu in the centres with Millet there, and yeah, some really good, kind of team players is how I would kind of talk with them. You got Gomez Sa as well, coming off the bench for them at times, in the front row as well. So, again, no massive stars in the team, but they've shown before in this competition they can get things done, and they've been doing that this year as well. By contrast, then, if you look at the Bath team, like, there's obviously one player who is, a very, like, Finn Russell, like, massive household name, but, he's not the only guy in their team as well, but yeah, they are kind of more about a little bit more star power. Maybe it's because, these guys, in terms of, even though I don't watch the Premiership, I see a lot more of these guys knocking around kind of Six Nations squads, or they played for teams that that, I've come across more often before, maybe in European competition. And the fact that Bath were in Leinster's group as well this year means that I've a bit more familiarity with their team. But yeah, I'd say there is some star power in there as well. Like, you've got, as I said, Finn Russell at 10, undoubtedly the big star of the team, but you also got, in the backs, Cameron Redpath there. You got Joe Cockney-Singha, who was, the next big thing for England on the wing a few years ago, but it seems to be with England that there's so many really good backs like that. You get in, you get a chance, and then as soon as your form drops, somebody else comes along and you drop way down the pecking order, and that's kind of what happened to him there. But, you've also got people like Will Muir, Ben Spencer, Tom de Glanville in there as well in the back line. Then, in the pack, you got Ben O'Bano, Will Stewart, you've got Charlie Ewells, Sam Underhill, Guy Pepper, people who I'm certainly more familiar with. Quinn Rue. And, on the bench then, people like Thomas Dutoy, Ted Hill, like Alfie Barbary, those kind of players, like Ross Maloney, obviously ex-Leinster, second row. So, for me, I'm more familiar with their players. But I think maybe in this competition, Lyon's kind of, how would you put it, like their ability to gel as a team. I think Lyon are better than the sum of the parts, whereas Bath maybe in the Premiership are, but not at top European level for them. I don't think either of these teams, only Bath competed in the Champions Cup this year, but I don't think either of them would cover themselves in any glory in the Champions Cup. Bath maybe they can work towards that, in the future, but they've also got in there as well, for Bath, I think they are kind of looking at that is building themselves up. Like, it's been like I was fairly young back when Bath were anything in the old Heineken Cup. Like, that's a long time ago. You're going back to, I think, Jeremy Guscott used to play for them, I think. Like, that's how far we're going back in terms of that. Like, in this competition, like, they've been previous winners, but so have Lyon, and they've gotten to a few finals as well. But yeah, neither of these teams really shining at Champions Cup level, but certainly at this level. But I think Lyon can certainly compete with this Bath team in this final. It's a one-off game. Looking at the players available to both teams, you would think that Bath should be the favourites, but Lyon have been there and done that in this competition recently, so maybe that's going to stand to them. Yeah, so we look back at their history in this particular competition, not in European competition, just this one. So starting with Bath, they were last winners or one-time winners. Both of these teams have won this competition once. Bath won it back in 2008, so there's nobody in that squad that remembers winning that final. All those years ago. What's that now? 17 years ago. So, some of the players would have been, toddlers when Bath won that. But they've been runners-up 3 times as well. 2003, 2007, and 2014. And that 2014 final was the last time that this competition was played in Wales. And they lost that to Northampton 30 points to 16. So maybe not good memories of a final in Cardiff. But again, there's 2014, probably nobody or maybe one player around or something since that final. Lyon, by contrast, haven't been in as many finals, but they got to one final in 2022 and they won it. I think they beat Toulon in that final. Then Toulon, They beat Toulon, and then Toulon beat Glasgow 2 years ago, right? And then last year, then the Sharks won the final. Who did the Sharks beat, actually? I'm trying to remember that. give me a second here. It was Gloucester. They beat Gloucester, right, in the final. So another English team. I'm wondering, actually, let me actually look it up. Who the last English team to win it were Bristol back in 2020. And before that, then you go back to Gloucester in 2015. And then Northampton the year before, obviously, when they beat Bath. But yeah, it's there have been plenty of English teams in the final over the last kind of decade or so. There's been how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 English teams in it, but only 2 winners. By contrast, for French teams, there have been 8 French teams or 8 French finalists. In it, obviously, same with England, a lot of repeats, but 8 French finalists. But they've come away with 6 wins in it. So the French doing a lot better in terms of at least the last decade with turn on appearances in finals in this competition. But yeah, it's an interesting one again, because Bath certainly have all the names, but I think Lyon have a team. And I think that's, for me, again, I think Bath are going to be the favourites for it. But for me, unlike we talked about the Champions Cup yesterday, where I said that, I think that Bordeaux are probably going to win it, but I'm going to be cheering for Northampton because I have a bit of an affinity with Northampton because of exploits in the Champions Cup, but also because of meeting some Northampton fans last year when they come over for the semi-final against Leinster. But Bath, I've no such affinity with them at all. I know a lot of the players, but the club itself, I've no real affinity with at all. And, Lyon kind of the same, but I think I'm probably going to be cheering for Lyon in that one. So on Friday, I'm cheering for a French team against an English team. And then on Saturday, I'm going to be cheering for an English team against a French team. So I guess in terms of being unbiased, that's as close as I can get for that. But yeah, I think I'm going to, my head is saying Bath are going to win, but I'm going to back Lyon to win. I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, as it were. With Northampton, I said I'm going to cheer for them, but I picked Bordeaux as the winners. But this one, I'm going to be cheering for Lyon. I'm going to pick them as the winners as well. So that's our preview of the game. We'll have a review tomorrow night. Well, if you're watching, whenever you're watching it, but on Friday night, we'll have a review after the game, and we'll also have a review of the Champions Cup final as well on Saturday, and then maybe Monday we'll have kind of a European wrap up rather than separate videos for each, because there's only one game, and it tends to be after a final is done, there's less people interested in it because one team was lost, and I know how it is. Like with Leinster, like you go through that mourning period where you don't want to hear the word rugby for days afterwards. So generally, there's less interest after the fact. But I will do a wrap up of both competitions together, probably on Monday, honestly, Monday or Tuesday, and then after that, then we're back to your C, and we're getting underway with the knockout stages of that. So that should be exciting. But let me know what you think about this one down in the comments.